Back on the trail, we just finished a stay on Gorham at the barn. The whites are now behind us, anxious to get to the end. We've heard that Maine's not very easy either, but I don't know. We're hoping that the whites, after the training, that the whites will see a significant reduction of difficulty as we enter Maine. But you never know. Here's the top of Mount Hayes. We stopped up at mile 1900.3 to eat lunch.
Oh, I'd rather you hold me than that.
Here we are at the Maine state line, leaving New Hampshire behind and headed toward the prize, Mount Katahdin. Mahoosuc Notch. So we just entered Mahoosuc Notch, and of course it was raining yesterday, and it's supposed to rain today, and it's dripping from the trees, and the rocks are all wet. It takes me back to Lehigh Gap, but hey, you know, that's how we roll. We roll in the rain. I'll hover around pollen. It's extremely chilly in the notch. There's actually ice down here. I don't know why it stays cold, but there's the ice. So we just finished Mahoosuc Notch. Had a 20-minute break in the middle of it, so it took us about 2 hours and 40 minutes or so. And now we're going to stop for lunch before we go to Mahoosuc Arm, which is supposed to be pretty tough too. Plus the rain's coming this afternoon.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
See how we do. View from the top of Mahoosuc Arm. That's where we're headed next, that mountain. Speck Mountain. So some of the shots I take with my phone is using a pole and a stick pick. But while going through the Mahoosuc Notch, I keep this thing in my pocket and it got crushed. We're on the way down the mountain toward Grafton Notch. We're gonna try to, I don't know, try to get a lift somehow. We wanted to call for a shuttle or for something yesterday on top of the mountain, but we had no service. So we'll see if we make it to town or not. Good morning. We are trying something new today. We are slack packing. For 1,925 miles, we did not slack pack. The whites broke us and as time is rolling on, we need to get this done someday. So when we got down to Grafton Notch, we got a hitch all the way into Andover, and they're gonna slack pack us for the next 20 miles for sure. We might add another 13-mile leg. We'll just see how it goes.
That one's not a good one.
Another moose print. Still no moose sighting though. So we've reached the first river on the AT that we have to ford. But fortunately, it's too low, so we're just gonna hop across it. Well, takes care of that.
I think I will.
Slack packing was nice. Time to go back to work.
Wi-Fi.
Sort of smells like a tomato.
Interesting. Even got a little game in the middle to play with your friend. Except there's no pegs. Headed down to Stratton at Highway 27. We're gonna take a Nero. We got a resupply for the next 4-day leg. We had a great stop at a little place called Mountain View Motel, I believe it was. Resupplied, slept well, back on the trail. Got another 4 days or so to go to get to our next stop for resupply. And then we're about 4 days away from Monson. So we are clipping off the miles, less than 200 to go. We're excited to be done. Bigelow West, Avery Peak. We camped right between those last night. This is the view from Little Bigelow. So everybody is always concerned with the whites, and you know what? They are a big concern. But I think most people will go into it like we did and think that once you get past the presidentials, whites are over. You get to Maine, no big deal. But southern Maine's just about as hard, if not as hard, as the White Mountains. And it can be demoralizing if you're going into it thinking that, hey, I'm going to be able to pick my miles back up, and then you realize you can't. So just so you know, after you get through the presidentials, after you get through the whites, once you head into Maine, it really doesn't get much easier until after ME 17. That's right after Andover. And even then, it's still got a couple of tough mountains. But just be aware, 50 or 60 miles into the Maine is when it finally starts to get a whole lot easier, and you can pick up some miles. Go into it knowing that. That way maybe you won't be such a punch to the gut when you realize that you're still doing 10 or 12 mile days when you hit Maine.
He's got a horn.
Got to cross the dam here. So we're headed to the Kennebec River. That's where the canoe ferry service is. And you have to be there at a specific time. So when you're hiking through, just make sure you know when they're open. For us, it's between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. So we camped near it and we'll woke up and we'll be there a little after 9. And then we're headed to the Caratunk House, which is a bed and breakfast. We're going to, it's kind of a bed and breakfast / hostel. We're gonna Nero there, resupply for our next leg into Monson.
Saturday morning, 9:03.
Anyway, it's probably people waiting to come across here.
Back and hold. One of those rings on here. I like that one here. Well, that's all right. I'll just. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a.
Good dog.
You had to tell him to put it down. Oh, how cute.
Made it across the river. It took us an hour. We did have to wait from just a hair after 9 to a little bit after 10. Now we're on the other side. Headed toward the bed and breakfast. We're going to get some barbecue. and milkshake.
Yeah.
We heard that they have an old-fashioned milkshake machine, so it should be tasty. We're at the Carrot Tongue House, and it is a really, really great place. Milkshakes are superb. The guy who owns the place is really nice. The prices are fair, and the rooms are really great. This is we're excited about this stay. We sort of wish we could stay longer. We're now headed toward Monson. The great debate is whether we do 12-mile days, 10-mile days, 17-mile days. All depends upon how we feel. This is where we wanted to stay tonight, but as a result of Hurricane Dorian, there's some bad weather coming up the East Coast. So we have to get past Moxie Bald before that rain gets here. Otherwise, it'll be a really difficult day. So we're gonna push on another 4 miles beyond what we want, but in the long run, it's safer and it'll be better. Rain is here as predicted. So we're gonna pack up, hike all the way into Shaw's, and we're actually there 2 days earlier than we expected. So hopefully they'll have a private room for us. If not, we'll just do bunks. And then we'll hit that'll be it.
Coolest blaze on the trail. Made it. First real crossing. I'm worried about you.
I'm worried too. It's pretty swift.
It moves pretty hard in here. We found an easier way. It's ankle deep. Still cold though.
It only took us 2 days to get to Shaw's Hostel. We're ready for the 100-mile wilderness, and we're ready for Katahdin.